The Dirt with me, Mike Howell, an economics podcast where I present the down and dirty agronomic science to help grow crops and bottom lines. Inspired by eKonomics.com, farming's go-to informational resource, I'm here to break down the latest crop nutrition research, news, and issues, helping farmers make better business decisions through actionable insights. Let's dig in. Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to The Dirt. We're glad you're tuning in this week. We're kind of doing a little something different this week. Traveling to all the farm shows over the last few years, had the opportunity to run into some people that worked with Farm Rescue. We thought we would get them on the program. They're doing some great work across the countryside and wanted to find out a little bit more about Farm Rescue. To help us do that, we've got Bill Gross with us here today. Bill, if you will, take just a few minutes and introduce yourself to our listeners and let them know what you do.
I'm Bill Gross, the founder and president of Farm Rescue. I started a nonprofit organization 20 years ago this year to help farm families that have experienced a major injury, illness, or natural disaster so they could continue their livelihood.
Well, Bill, tell us a little bit more about Farm Rescue.
Well, Farm Rescue is a nonprofit organization, like I said, that it provides planting, haying, harvesting, even livestock feeding assistance and commodity hauling for those farmers that have had a devastating injury, illness, or natural disaster through no fault of their own. Maybe they are dealing with cancer. Maybe they got a hand cut off or a broken back or a leg, or, farming is a very dangerous occupation, and there's a lot of things that can happen and do happen, and that's where Farm Rescue comes in. When a farm family can't get the work done themselves, we come in. We're like a big mobile farming operation operating in 9 states, and we come in and plant or hay or harvest that crop for one season free of charge till the farm family can get back on their feet. And again, we don't give any money out. This is not about a handout or anything like that. The farmer still provides the fuel and the seed and the fertilizer and the inputs and so on, but we come in with manpower and equipment and get it done in a timely fashion.
Bill, it kind of sounds like neighbors helping neighbors the way it used to be in the old days. It doesn't seem to happen that way as much anymore.
Well, that's right. And that's why Farm Rescue is here. I saw that many years ago. I was raised on a family farm, and, nowadays there isn't as many family farms, and they're further apart, and there's less children staying on those farms, and you just don't have, as many people to help you. And the economies of scale, everyone has their hands full just getting the work done themselves.
Well, Bill, tell us a little bit about how Farm Rescue began. When did it start, and how did you come up with this idea to start this program?
Well, how it really started, I have to give you a bit of a backstory. I went on mission trips over the years through the church, over to Romania and Croatia and so on, and I would usually go over for a month at a time and maybe build houses, teach Bible study, or do a variety of things just to help people, right? And I started to think that, there's people back in our own country that needs help. And I always loved farming and was not able to stay on the family farm myself, actually. My folks said, we can't help you just because of financial constraints to get going on the farm right now. Go ahead and get education and get some training, and if the farm is still here, you're always welcome to come back. Well, that's what happened. I went on to take training to become a pilot, and I've been a Boeing 747 captain for UPS Airlines for over 30 years already. That's my main job. It still is to this day. But like I said, I went on the mission trips, and I was flying overseas over the Pacific Ocean with my co-pilots. And I was only in my 30s at the time. And they said, what are you going to do when you retire? And I said, I'm going to get this big John Deere tractor and planter, and I'm going to show up in the morning in my own state. I started it in North Dakota. And I'm going to be there at 6 a.m. This farmer will say, what's this, guy doing in my front yard with a big tractor and planter? And I'd get out and say, fill it with seed and fertilizer, and I'll plant a few hundred acres for you and go on to the next one. I was basically going to be this random good Samaritan, this Johnny Appleseed. And everyone thought it was kind of a crazy idea, I have to be honest. But I was serious about it, having traveled all over the world, literally for 30 years, everywhere from, Dubai, all over Europe and Asia and Central America. and so on, I wanted to return to my roots and help people. So this was my way. I was telling a chaplain friend of mine my idea when I was in my 30s there. And he said, Bill, don't wait till you retire, because I was planning on doing it when I retired from flying. He said, that day may never come, or you may not be physically able. And he says, there must be other people that are like-minded like you that would join in. And he said, you should start a nonprofit. So that's what I did. Started a nonprofit. I approached other people, retired farmers, people that grew up on a farm like myself and weren't able to stay on the farm. Basically, farm rescue, it's run by primarily volunteers, including myself, and the board of directors are volunteers. And we have nearly 1,000 volunteers that have applied to help nationwide from all 50 states. And it's just growing every year from North Dakota on to South Dakota, Minnesota, on to 9 states now. And will continue to grow.
Bill, that's quite impressive. I did not realize it was quite that big. I knew you had a lot of volunteers there. You mentioned that it's volunteers. Do you have any paid employees with the organization, or is it 100% volunteers doing all the work?
Well, we do have some paid employees. When you get a certain size, it just can't get it all done with volunteers anymore. So we do have 7 full-time employees, but when you think about that, we operate in 9 states and only have 7 employees.
This has been going on for quite a while. How many families has Farm Rescue helped over the years?
Well, Farm Rescue has helped many, many farm families already. It's approaching 1,300 farm families.
And Bill, if there's someone in need out there, I know there's things that happen all the time. How can somebody get in touch with you or one of your staff and get on the list if they need some help?
Well, it's simple. The best way is to go to our website, farmrescue.org. You can apply to be a volunteer there. You can watch testimonials from actual farmers that have had a crisis in which we've come in and helped, and sponsors and volunteer testimonials also. A lot of good things, shows our coverage area and how to apply and volunteer. That is really the best way. But if you really want to give us a call, you can call us at 701-252-2017 and speak to someone live also. And you can, I might add here, you can nominate a farm family. If you don't need the help yourself, go ahead and call us up and tell us about a farm family that might need help. Because, farm families are independent, prideful people. A lot of times they don't want to ask for help. God bless them, but a lot of times they need the help and should have the help. And so we have families that call up, or even business sponsors and so on, say, we know this family, something bad happened to them. They're not the type of people to ask for help, but they sure could use a helping hand. And then we contact the family and just say, someone called in just anonymously, and we'd like to extend a helping hand. And in most cases, that results in us helping that farm family. And later they are so thankful that that family nominated them. So go ahead, and if you know a farm family, let us know. In any of the states, the 9 states we operate in is North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Kentucky. Farm families in any of those states can apply for assistance. Free of charge. There's no catch.
Bill, you've mentioned that a couple of times, that it's free of charge, and you just mentioned sponsors. And I know Nutrien is a sponsor of Farm Rescue. How can somebody get to be a sponsor? I know you have to have a lot of help to get this done, being a nonprofit. Talk a little bit about sponsorships and what somebody needs to do if they want to help out.
Well, that's right. Thank you for asking. Yes, Nutrien is definitely a large sponsor of Farm Rescue. They've been a sponsor for many years. And without the help of Nutrien, we would have never been able to help this number of farm families. So a big hats off to Nutrien for helping us and caring for the farm families, and in a sizable way supporting Farm Rescue to keep the wheels in motion to help these families. But, there's other companies like John Deere that sponsors equipment, and a lot of good sponsors. Visit our website. We got Anheuser-Busch. They're another large sponsor. Even have a portion of their proceeds go to Farm Rescue. So there's many, many good companies helping us out. And we need it. We do. Otherwise we can't help these farm families. We use the money efficiently. Like I said, it's not a handout. None of your money is going to be handed out to a farm family. It's just going to mobilize volunteers and and equipment, and we have trucks and some tractors and combines and so on. There's repairs to those things, and it can be expensive nowadays. And to keep all that in motion does require funding. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit, which means that donations are tax deductible to the fullest extent by law. So we appreciate any donations. You can go to our website, farmrescue.org. And there's a secure page to safely donate there. That's where most people go to. But you can also mail a check if you want to P.O. Box 28 in Horace, Horace, North Dakota, 58047. Or call our phone number again, 701-252-2017, and talk to someone in person if you wish to do that to feel more comfortable before making a donation. And thank you.
Well, Bill, I'm sure we've just hit the tip of the iceberg with what Farm Rescue is all about. Is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with before we sign off today?
Well, yeah, I just want to reiterate again, Michael, that a lot of times farm families feel that someone else needs the help more than them. We had a farmer not too long ago get his hand cut off in a combine. And when we called him up for help, he says, surely there must be someone else that needs the help more than me. And are you kidding? So even if you think that you're not injured or ill that bad, give us a call and we might be working near you. It doesn't hurt to call and ask, and we'll see if we can help you. We are, fortunately, with our good sponsors, able to help most of the cases that apply.
Well, Bill, we really appreciate the work that you and the team there at Farm Rescue are doing. I know there's a lot of people out there that need help. It's just a great effort that you're doing to give these people a hand up and help them get back on their feet in their time of need. Listeners, we hope you've learned something today, and I want to encourage you to check out the website, learn more about Farm Rescue, and if you can, help these people out there doing some great work out there. If you will, hang around for just a moment, and we'll be right back with segment 2. Farming isn't farming without questions, and now there's a place to go for answers. At eKonomics, an entire team of agronomists is waiting and ready to help for free. No question is too big or too small. Visit Nutrien-economics.com and submit your question with the Ask an Agronomist feature. Listeners, welcome back for segment 2. As you know by now, segment 2 is where we ask one of our agronomists a question of the week. To help us with that this week, we've got Alan Blaylock back in the studio with us. Alan, welcome back to the dirt and refresh everybody's memory of what you do with Nutrien.
Well, Mike, good to be here again. I am senior agronomist with Nutrien Wholesale. I'm based in Colorado, primarily covering the western part of the Corn Belt, the Great Plains, and into the Pacific Northwest, although as you've probably learned from listening to these podcasts, we pretty much cross over each other and help each other out as needed. But primary responsibility is kind of that middle of the country.
Alan, today's question is one that came in on our Ask the Agronomist format there. The producer wanted to know how much nitrogen he needs to apply at side dress to corn. He says that he has applied chicken manure prior to planting at a rate of 5 tons per acre, and the analysis on that manure was 36 units of total nitrogen per ton. He says he's shooting for a yield of 175 bushels per acre. What can you tell him about his need for nitrogen going into the season?
There's several ways to kind of approach this. One of the things a grower can do, and it kind of depends on the growth stage he's at, but he can do something called a pre-side dress nitrate test, and that's basically going out, taking soil sample to a 12-inch depth, have it analyzed for nitrate content, and then we can look at how much that says is in the soil right now in the nitrate form. Now, that's obviously not everything the plant's going to get, but that's a pretty good indicator. If we're not too late in the season, and we're approaching a point right now where a lot of corn is tasseling, pollinating, and so that test may not be as applicable for everybody, but basically what we're looking at in that test is a nitrate content of kind of about 20 parts per million as a critical level. And if we're above that, it would say, well, you don't need any more. And if we're below that, it says, well, yes, we need to add some more nitrogen. So then we want to take a look at how much does that mean? Let's look at the total nitrogen budget, look at how much we've applied already in various forms. In this case, he's applied 5 tons of manure at about 35, 36 pounds of N per ton. So he's applied roughly, just gross math here, about 160 pounds of N in the manure so far. Now we have to recognize that not all of that becomes plant available in the first year of application. And kind of a general guideline that's often used is about 50% of the N in the manure becomes available in the growing season. So he's put on, I said, about 160 pounds of N in the manure. So we could say, well, he's probably got about half of that that's going to be available this year in the crop. And so then we can look at how much total N is needed for that crop and look at your local recommendations. And people use different formulas. Some people don't like to use a yield goal to calculate that. They have other formulas to use, but we have various ways of getting at the total N that's needed. So look at that total, subtract off how much has been applied with the manure and any other pre-plant form, starter, anything like that that's been added. And we could add the balance as our side dress fertilizer. So a yield goal of, say, 150 bushels, he's put on probably about half of what is going to be needed for that crop for the whole season. So putting on another 70, 80, maybe 90 pounds of N per acre would be close to the crop's requirement.
Okay, Alan, we really appreciate you walking us through that and how we do those calculations. Listeners, we appreciate you tuning in this week. And for more information on anything we've talked about, you can always go back to our website. That's Nutrien-economics.com. Until next time, this has been Mike Howell with The Dirt. Hey guys, if you like what you heard today, do us a favor and share this podcast with someone else. It could be your neighbor, your friend, your crop advisor, or whoever you think would enjoy it. Your support helps ensure future episodes, so please like, subscribe, share, and rate the show wherever you're listening from.